Hello, today I'd like to talk about difficulty in horror games and how that relates to Neverending Nightmares and what we have planned. So, firstly, there seems like there's two schools of thought to this, both by people who are well versed in horror games. So, firstly, if you read Chris Pruitt's survival horror blog, he talks about the two-factor theories of emotion and how stress can amplify the state of your fright, and because your body is confusing the signals. But if you watch Thomas Gripp's GDC talk about presence in storytelling and what they did for Amnesia, and how they found that difficulty sort of took away from the story and the world, basically they're sort of at odds with each other. And so I think I'm much more in the Thomas Gripp camp, especially with Neverending Nightmares, because, well, firstly, I'm a very bad gamer, and I think this actually helps me design games, because you keep playing a game over and over again, you'll get really good at it. So if you start off bad, then that's a good thing, because then you're not going to be that amazing, and I think a lot of games have problems with difficulty curves just because the developers sort of lose touch with people playing it for the first time. But I get frustrated easily in games, and the thing is, I'm getting frustrated with the game systems. This hit is unfair. They should give us more ammo. The setup, these enemies are not fair. And so, to me, if you're getting frustrated, you're getting reminded that it's just a game. And so one of the things is that with Neverending Nightmares is we want to have no reminders that you're playing a game. We want to create it as immersive as possible just so you can get lost in the world and feel terrified. So definitely for Neverending Nightmares we're leaning towards, having the basics of the game not being, super difficult or challenging. But I think it is important to have challenge in games. It is important to have some sort of skill, because I think that is one of the things that makes games engaging. Certainly, I like to use Candyland as an example. Candyland, certainly you like it as a kid, and they packaged up the game, really well with great graphics. The board looks really fun. But essentially, you're not doing anything in Candyland. You just draw a card and move your piece, draw a card and move your piece. The entire state of the game is already determined by that stack. And I mean, I'm not saying that games like Dear Esther or whatever, without any sort of challenge aren't games or aren't good games. Certainly I really enjoyed Dear Esther, but I think that, having some element of challenge can help for replayability and for, again, building up tension, because I think, especially for the horror genre, if you don't feel threatened, then you're not going to be as scared. So I mean, in the demo for Neverending Nightmares, we have a lot of sort of jump scares, a lot of startling moments, but we don't really have any sort of real threat in the game. But I think that's important, and that is something we're working on. But I think in terms of the challenge, I think you can have things that are challenging, but sort of make the failure state not as bad. So one of the unique things about Neverending Nightmares is how we have a branching narrative structure. So basically, if you die, you don't really die. You just wake up again in the same nightmare, another nightmare. Basically, there's no concept of death, no you are dead or game over screens. But that allows us to do things where, people who really want to explore all the branching paths, which I think is, to some extent, essential to fully appreciating and to fully experiencing the game, I think we can have some of those be more challenging